change it now, and I think the car will be back on full steam tomorrow morning.
An early morning restart in Nelspruit on the second and final day of the Sasol Rally, with 1997 South African champions Jan Habak and Douglas Judd sitting pretty in the factory VW Golf 4 with a lead of 1 minute and 52 seconds. Slotting in behind the VW crew were KwaZulu-Natal pair Etienne Lawrence and Robert Paisley in the team Total Toyota Conquest. Ahead of crews lay 11 special stages in an area bordered by Nelspruit, White River and Sabi, and the stage finishing back in Nelspruit with a super special. Proceedings got underway with the short tar stage and a new development on the outskirts of Nelspruit. The early morning start did not deter the locals and rally enthusiasts, who again turned out in their droves. The opening stage produced nothing out of the ordinary, although there was a great deal of interest in the early progress of Castrol Toyota Works driver Serge Damso, who needed medical attention overnight for that injured leg.
There's a 90 right here, sweep 90 right. Sweep 90 right, stand by, and that's the finish. Thank you.
Paolo Piazzamuso and Richard Leek for once failed to win a tar stage in the Sasol Motorcraft Ford Escort, while Chart van der Walt and Cindy Harding started the day leading Class A7, with the Reeks towing VW Golf only 19 seconds ahead of Team Total pair Barry Provolard and Mike Burrows in a similar car. Young JP Damso and Pierre Aris were comfortably out in front in Class A6 and solidly ensconced in the top 10. An interesting day lay ahead on the Group N front, with just 30 seconds separating Hannes Hrobler and Nick Hadden and Cliff Blackman and Johan Klaassen in the Nissan Sentras. The Group N pair was separated by the Daewoo Lanos of Fernando Ruedo and Johan Seeling, with an upbeat mood in the Team Total Nissan Sentra of Cliff Blackman.
20 seconds is all Hannes has got on us at the moment. We're not going to let him have his own way today. We're certainly going to make him work for his position. All it is one puncher. So it's very tight at the moment.
After their day one woes, Jürgen Fecken and Dave Lukowitz were resigned to a day of playing catch-up in the Dunair Toyota Conquest. Full speed ahead was their only option, but for Class N2 leaders Dean Saunders and Graham Hooper, there were a couple of tactical options to be considered as the day wore on.
We've got to keep the championship in mind, and the guys that are ahead of us are quite far behind us on points, so we've just got to look at that and keep that in mind, you know.
Scott Berger and Martin Buerter were chasing after Saunders and Hooper, and hot on their heels were the Class S20 crew of Jackie Joubert and Donnie Smith in the 4x4 VW Beetle, powered by a Volvo motor. The Beetle was on a charge, but up at the service point, Serge Damso wasn't finding the going a bed of roses.
I've got a problem. I pulled one of the muscles on my leg last night when we went off in the dust. I try and get the car back on the road, and that's not too bad, but I just lost power steering last night too, so it's not been easy for me today.
And as for Hannes Hrobler, the former South African champion was as jovial as ever.
I think it's very nice that the Group N cars are that close. It's good for a competition, and it's good for the spectators, and it's good for the Group N rallying. It just shows you that the guys had a wake-up call. I see the guys in A7 also had a wake-up call. They're a little bit ahead of us.
The big crowds also flocked to forest stages, and with the rally entering the home stretch, there were a few niggles here and there for top contenders. Class A7 leaders Chart van der Walt and Cindy Harding ran into a camshaft belt problem, and clocking in late at a time control cost them a 1-minute penalty. The Reeks towing VW Golf was still being chased by the Team Total VW Golf of Barry Hrobler and Mike Burrows, with Class A6 leaders of Jean-Pierre Damso and Pierre Aris in the thick of battle with the Class A7 frontrunners. Group N and Class N3 leaders Hannes Hrobler and Nick Hadden were still going well in the Total Bridgestone Nissan Sentra, while Fernando Rueda and Johan Seeling had climbed into the top 10 in the X-Factory Daewoo Lanos. Behind them, Cliff Blackman and Johan Klaassen were gradually losing ground in the Group N battle and dropped a few more seconds in Special Stage 17. When Jürgen Fecken and Dave Lukowitz arrived on the scene at a rapid rate of knots, they gave a section of the crowd a bit of a wake-up call. The spectators were having a ball, with Class N2 leaders Dean Saunders and Graham Hooper also providing them with some excitement, although they could not quite match the standards set by Fecken and Lukowitz. The Yucky Hubert, Donnie Smith VW Beetle Volvo was still on a charge with four-wheel drive and advantage for a crew who spend their time vacillating between rallying and the National Off-Road Championship. The pace was a little more sedate by the time Rodney Fasaki and Caroline Simmer arrived on the scene in the team total Toyota Taz, with the pair well in control of Class N1. At the final regroup before the start of the last leg, there was a lot of activity going on around the Sasol Motorcraft Ford Escort.
We had a bolt and the suspension come loose on us, and that could have been quite catastrophic. If that bolt had come out, we would have lost the suspension completely. Luckily it was held in by the sump, so we still managed to take 10 off Serge, and we're still in. So we'll see in his last leg if we can close the gap with him. Maybe we can get that podium.
There were also serious problems for Barry Krobler and Mike Burrows.
Well, not yet. We've dropped back 2 minutes. Was trying a bit hard and we left the road and hit a bank. We've just replaced the rear axle now again, and we seem to be having a little bit of caliper trouble, but we'll be back in there again. We'll see what we can make up.
At the front of the field, Jan Hammock and Doug Judd were cruising along, but behind them a little pressure was starting to build on Etienne Lawrence and Robert Paisley.
Onto another road, step up, loose in corner. 200, hairpin left onto another road, loose in corner, step up 100.
That pressure building on Lawrence and Paisley was being exerted by a rejuvenated Serge Damso and Guy Hodgson in the factory Castrol Toyota Conquest. With power steering once more operative on the Toyota, Damso and Hodgson were on a charge and taking great chunks of time off the team total car. Hopes of a podium finish were starting to recede for Paolo Piazzamuso and Richard Leake. The Toyotas of Lawrence Paisley and Damso and Hodgson had a tight hold on second and third, and there was late heartbreak for the Sasol Ford Escort pair when they dropped out on the penultimate special stage. It was turning into a good day for Jean-Pierre Damso and Pierre Aris. Apart from leading Class A6, they would have moved into 5th overall with the late demise of Piazzamuso and Leake. Despite their 1-minute penalty and struggle with braking problems, Chart van der Walt and Cindy Harding still led Class A7 by around 3 minutes, and they moved into 4th place. Hannes Krobler and Nick Haddon now had a firm grip on the Group N category and Class N3. They were 2 minutes clear of Cliff Blackman and Johan Klaassen, with the team total Nissan dropping back to 3rd overall in the Group N category when they were caught by Class N2 leaders, Dean Saunders and Graham Hooper, who had a great second day in the team total Toyota Corolla. Their best performance of the season so far saw Skalk Berger and Martin Buerter running second in Class N2, while a final day charge saw Tony Ball and Marty Olivier take the Bulwer Park VW Golf from 13th to 6th overall and second in Class A7. Another steady run saw Craig Trott and Brian Duncan slip into 2nd place. That was in Class A6, with the pair comfortably ahead of KwaZulu-Natal crew Chris de Witt and Alec Harris. Western Cape pair Diffie Moreira and Donnie de Vol were a solid 3rd in Class N2, while Fisser Duplessis and Lisa Joubert gave Nissan a clean sweep in Class N3. Down in the baby Class N1, the battle of the Toyota Taz Brigade went to championship leaders Rodney Fasaki and Caroline Simmer, with Mike Houghton and Brian Doherty the only other finishers in the class. The final super special stage back in Nelspruit, with cars up against each other 2 at a time on a mirror image course. The big interest was whether or not Serge Damso and Guy Hodgson could make up a 2-second deficit on Etienne Lawrence and Robert Paisley to snatch 2nd place. Rally leaders Hammock and Judd weren't taking any late chances, and in a grandstand finish, Damso and Hodgson took 6 seconds off Lawrence and Paisley. The sort of crowds you only expect to see at circuit racing meetings around South Africa packed into the special stage. Spectators stood shoulder to shoulder to catch a glimpse of the cars and were rewarded with some hectic action and a few close shaves along the way in a dramatic finale to a hugely successful rally. The deadlock at the top of the Stanek Rally Championship was broken, with Jan Hammock and Doug Judd now 7 points clear of Serge Damso and Guy Hodgson, who just squeezed into 2nd place. 7th overall gave Hannes Krobler and Nick Haddon the Group N honours and Class N3, and there were also class wins for Van der Walt and Harding, Damso and Aris, Saunders and Hooper, and Fasaki and Simmer.
You know, we had a fairly easy task today, and all we had to do was really keep the concentration going, and the car behaved itself very well. We had a few small gremlins, but generally it went absolutely perfect, and I think the whole team is delighted with the performance.
A narrow second place brought a rare smile from 7-time South African champion Serge Damso. Etienne Lawrence and Robert Paisley were obviously delighted with their podium finish, with the champagne also flowing for Group N winners, Hannes Grobler and Nick Hallett.